Okay, so kind of a couple things came together. Started reading about comparisons of traditional hard drives with SSDs and M.2 drives, NVMe, etc., and talking about the longevity of the more traditional mechanical drives versus the SSDs. And kind of got me thinking, do I want to do something with perhaps my drives that I've pulled from other systems? And at the same time, I had heard about this technology that was relatively short lived, Intel Optane, and the Elite Desk 4 and 5 used it. Supposedly it also works with the G3, but I think you have to have a 7th gen processor in order to use it on there. But it was a way to make it so that you could use your traditional mechanical hard drive and give it a speed boost. So I grabbed one of these. I went ahead and I put Windows 11 on it and made sure all the updates, etc. And I'm going to run some benchmarks to see how it performs before the Optane is put in and after. The other thing I want to find out is this one's much thinner than a traditional M.2 normal type of drive. Whether this is going to be able to fit underneath the drive caddy. So that's another thing I want to see. And just as a, give an option. Now, this one I got off of eBay, pretty cheap. This is the 16 gig version. It actually has a HP part number, so conceivably it was probably pulled from an HP unit. We'll see how that goes. There's also, I believe, a 32 gig one that they tout for maybe more intensive use. I think I've even seen hybrids that combine this with a drive, something like that. But I figured this was kind of more of an interesting exercise just to see what could be done to have perhaps the reliability and longevity of a mechanical drive and maybe boost up the speed a little bit so that you have the again the speed of a traditional SSD M.2. So let's give that a whirl. This is just a normal G4 16 gig. It's 8500T. So we'll try that out. I wanted to record what the numbers look like before we did anything in terms of the Optane memory. And so this is what came up with. Obviously, much slower than even a normal SATA SSD. So it's something that we can compare to. I'd be curious to see what happens when we put the Optane in. Now, since I already installed this drive and ran the benchmarks on it without the Optane, I'm just going to jump right in and add the Optane. We'll go through some of the BIOS settings that you have to do in order to enable it. I'm hoping, and I believe there's also some drivers that get installed over on Windows for it. So I'm hoping it's a case where you don't have to have it all in place first before you do the install of the OS. I don't believe so. At least the instructions seem to imply that you have everything, then you add the Optane, and then you can kind of get it activated. So I'll go ahead and remove the caddy so we can get down, look at the M.2 slots. Of course, we've got the G4, so we've got two we can experiment with and see how that works. because you might want to have, I don't know, maybe see some sort of additional hybrid where maybe you had the using this as maybe a secondary drive for more long-term storage. We'll see how that comes about. Okay, so let's first try putting it here and see how it fits. Whether I can still put the caddy back in. I know I've had even my own video that I've shown. People have had various results with trying to put an M.2 in here and then also put the caddy back on. We'll see. We'll see how it fits here. Try to get a fairly flat screw here too. Okay, we'll put that in. Let's see how it fits. Okay. Not looking so good. Nah. I don't want to force anything and break anything, so let's move it to the other one. And as I showed in other videos, all is not lost because you can fit a 2230 here if you wanted to have the combination of the Optane with a normal M.2 and also a not lost track and also the caddy. There we go. Okay, let's put this in. I may be a little timid perhaps in trying to put that caddy back in. I just don't, I've broken too many things in my day forcing stuff. So I just want to be, plus I don't want to show something that then folks go out and try themselves and then break something. So let's just go the more conservative. So that fit quite nicely. So let's put this back in. Okay, just about there. Now, when you put your mechanical drive, for those that have been just using their SSD, which is so light, I mean, this is just a normal 2.5-inch laptop one, and it's definitely lighter than some of the big ones, but it needs a little bit of dampening. I had a leftover one of these from one of my other ones. This is just a normal screw, so I'm just kind of but all that to say is that you may have to do a little more work to get it to be so it's not moving all around, and worry about the drive head, all that kind of stuff crashing. Okay, let's put the case back on and go in the BIOS and see what we need to do there. Well, after several sort of missteps, restarts, changes, I've kind of gone back to the beginning. So I had I reformatted, reinstalled everything, Windows 11 on the hard drive, booted from it, everything was great. This is with the Optane module not installed, everything turned off. That worked great. I've added the Optane module in, And I want to show a few things as far as how to enable it, and one additional step that I believe is needed because when it wasn't done, everything was messed up. And this had to do with the fact that this particular chip I got off of eBay must have been used at some point for Optane, and you need to clean it out basically and sort of disable it from its prior use so that that way it could be used with your new drive. So first thing we want to do is we've got to turn on Optane. So we go to the BIOS setup, go to advanced, and go to system options, and we want to turn this on, configure storage controller for Intel Optane. So turn that on, go back to main, and we're going to do save settings and exit. But the thing is, we want to make sure not to boot into Windows, because when I tried before, I was getting errors. It just wouldn't boot. So I'm going to do save and exit, and then I'm going to hold down the escape key so I can get back to the main BIOS menu. Okay, now we're back here. What we want to do is we want to go into the third-party option ROM management. And you'll notice that it says Intel Rapid Storage Technology. We want to hit return on that. And you'll see incomplete Optane volume. So we want to go into there. And essentially it's saying, hey, your chip was used in a different Optane setup, which in my case it was, because I've already gone through all this. But even when I started out, it was like this. So what I need to do is I need to, you'll see, I need to sort of disconnect it so that that way when I go in and install all the software, then I'm starting out fresh. I want to say reset, and it's just making sure, you sure? Yes. And arrow down, yes. And that's pretty much all it's needed. Now I should be able to hit escape, and I should be able to boot into Windows, install the Optane software, and continue the configuration. Had this come up again. Oh, I just missed it, but inaccessible boot device. So I'm gonna see, I don't know if it's trying to boot off of that M.2. Well, the whatever it was didn't restore, didn't work. I'm just gonna cut my losses and just do a fresh install of Windows 11. It's less hassle than trying to get this thing to work. Now that we have Windows 11 working, we need to install the software to enable the Optane memory. I'll include this link in the video so that you can download. This, I believe, is the most recent, and this should take care of configuring. So let's go ahead and grab it. And just do the next, accept, next, and we'll just let it do its installation. Depending on the speed of, I guess, your hard drive and other things going on, I would say the installation probably takes, give it at least 10 minutes as it's going through. You'll have seen certain parts will go faster, slower. Right here, for some reason, it seems to be hung up on 54%, but in running it before, sometimes it will get caught up, but just let it go through. Okay, at the end, you'll be told to restart. So we'll go ahead. It did seem to take a little bit after that installation and the reboot. So as you see here, it's kind of stuck in this updates are underway. It's been going maybe for a couple minutes now. We'll see how long this is going to take. Well, I'm starting to get a little concerned because the drive light does, there's a lot of activity, but it's been going like 10 minutes now. I don't recall needing to do this. Oh, let's see. Did we? Nope. Yeah, just went went to sleep. I don't recall having to do this before, but of course I was doing it with a slightly different way as far as how I installed the driver and such. I don't know if it's doing something, checking the drive or doing some other kind of stuff, because I haven't even enabled the and said that the two are going to work together, the Optane and the hard disk drive. So yeah, I don't know. And I'd already installed all the Windows 11 updates, and those were done. So I'm really not sure what it's doing, but we'll let it keep running. Well, this has gone on pretty long. I'm thinking of just giving it a try and just trying to do a reboot, see if I can get out of this loop here. Well, this is what came up. Hopefully this will go faster this time. I don't know. We may have to start over, but we'll let this go. Okay, so it did come back. Now, one thing that you'll have to do is just wait a little bit after it comes in, because I was too quick on the draw, and I was wondering why I wasn't seeing this Intel Optane memory and storage application. So, because when I went back and ran the installer, or was about to run the installer, it said, oh, if it doesn't get automatically installed, you can install it from the Microsoft Store. But I just waited and it showed up. So this is what we want to run now. One thing I also want to point out too is that in order for the Optane to be seen, you have to make sure that you have secure boot enabled. And that was one of my problems, was that on my machine that I was doing for testing, I had turned off secure boot because I had done stuff with Proxmox and various other kinds of environments. So make sure secure boot is on when you're installing and getting everything configured so it can be seen. Okay. All right. So you should see this. You should see your hard disk, that's your your mechanical drive, and then you should see your Optane. So that's good. You want to jump down to Intel Optane Memory. Again, this should point out and show your the Optane memory, and this should be your compatible. And what we just want to do is say enable, and it's going to warn you that it's going to clean out whatever's on the Optane memory module. That's fine. Enable. And this doesn't take too long. Okay, now we want to restart, and hopefully all this was going to go nice and smoothly this time, so do a restart. I know we're looking at a black screen, but I just wanted to say it is taking a little bit for the machine to come back from reboot, but I do see the drive light going pretty crazy. Well, I'm just not having a great luck with this. I also did this before and the reboot was fine, so I'm just going to have to kill it and try rebooting and just make sure everything stuck, and then we'll check out, maybe run some benchmarks. Well, maybe that wasn't the best thing. As you can see on the screen, it didn't like how I killed the system like that, but it also looked like it's trying to fix itself. We'll see if we actually boot back into Windows now. I don't know. I don't know how long these things were supposed to be sitting there waiting for this stuff to do its thing, unless it was going through and yeah. Again, this is the second time I've gone through this, and the other time everything booted nice quick. So although unless those other ones were wrong, but yeah, we'll see when we get back in. Not the updates are underway again. Ay, ay, ay. Let's just see what happens. Okay. All right. We'll just wait. See what we get. Well, at least we got back into Windows. I'll see what damage we've done. Let me see if I can run this Optane thing again. See if it gives any sort of status. Okay, coming up. All right, this is good. This is saying that these two are connected and working on this memory volume. Let's see if we go here. All right, again, same way. It looks like they're working together. Okay. Kind of interested about this firmware, whether that's something that's updatable through the system. But okay, well, I'm going to install the Crystal Disk benchmarks and see what we get now. I installed the Crystal stuff, but then thought, well, let me just make sure everything is as clean as possible and do a restart. And this is what I got here. So hopefully we're not going to be stuck with this going every time, because then, you know, kind of defeats the whole purpose if the system is always somehow broken. So, okay, we'll let this run. Well, what I did was I had to hit the power button, kill the whatever it was doing. It came back, said it was rebuilding whatever it was. Finally went in, and then I did a series of shutdowns and restarts and so forth, just to make sure everything was a-okay, and went ahead and ran the Crystal benchmarks. And it looks pretty good. I mean, normally you'd have numbers in the low 100s, maybe 100, 25, 130, etc. Those are pretty good for the reads. The writes are a little better, but definitely it is an increase in the speed. It does seem a little zippier as far as Windows. So if you wanted to have the perhaps longevity of the the mechanical drive, but the speed of a SATA, then you could install this. I think I got those 16 gig Optane, I don't know, maybe $6-7 on eBay. You can look around. The 32 gig are definitely more expensive. Again, you can see what you want to go with it. It is a technology that basically no one is using. Intel still has the drivers and such out of there, but they're really not going to go forward with anything more with it, because most people have gone the M.2 or just even the SATA SSD route. But hey, it's another option.